All right, thank you for joining me for another day of 30 days of homemade, handmade gifts. Today we're going to make headbands and hair barrettes with flowers, fabric flowers, okay? So let's go ahead and get right into it. To start off, well, here's what we're gonna go ahead and make. These two are in barrettes, and we're gonna go ahead and turn ours into a headband today. So what you're going to start off with, what you need is you need 7 to 8 flowers cut out of fabric. I used fabric that I got from Walmart. This fabric, it's muslin, white muslin fabric. It's in their new little fabric area where you can just buy them on the roll, pre-cut and everything. And it's like $5, I think. So what I did is I used the Tim Holtz Tattered Floral die, and I just cut them out, I think 7 or 8 times, okay? And then I'm going to put them all in here, and we're going to spray them. This one we're going to make a nice dark purple. So I'm just gonna, I put them in a bag because it makes it easier, and then for the next step it will make it a little bit easier as well. So I'm just gonna close up the bag and just kind of squish them all in there because I don't want to get it on my hand, and I did anyways. And just kind of move them all around in there until they all get some dye on them. Then I open it up and I'm just going to move them over here a little bit. And then the next step, I want to make these nice and dark because this one here is very light, and so this is as far as I went with this step. So for this step, the next step, what I'm going to do is, how I made this stuff is I used, instead of using paint, I used ink. This is alcohol ink from... This is Ranger. I got this at Michael's. It was clearance. That's the only reason I bought it. So what we're going to do is I just used purple and a little bit of gold paint in here to make it shimmery. So I'm just putting like a little pool of it down there. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to add a couple of drops in there to make it a little bit more intense. Okay, I just want a little bit of a darker color, and then I'm just going to smear it around, and now you can see it's really dark there. So now all I'm going to do is move my flowers over there, and I'm just going to smear them all in there. And it doesn't matter, see, I already got some on my hands. The only reason I'm using the bag instead of just doing it myself is because I didn't want to get it on my hands, but clearly you can tell that didn't work. And I'm sorry if this is really noisy. I'll be done in a minute with this part. And now you can see they're very dark. Okay? And then I'm just going to go ahead and take them out of the bag. And it appears that I missed some. And what we don't want them all to be the same color anyways, so it's okay. All I'm gonna do is add a little more of my spray to them, and then they should all be colored. And it's okay if, like this one, see, they're not all the same color. That's fine, because we don't want them to be like one solid color, because then it looks a little more natural this way. So that's why I used the bag instead of that's another reason to use the bag instead of just spraying it directly on, because it gets a little less even. If you want it even, then don't use the bag. Okay? You can also do it with like a sandwich bag. Okay, now I'm gonna just hit these with a heat gun for a little bit. And you can see some of them are really dark and have light spots on them. Like, look at this one. Kind of looks tie-dyed a little. And that's kind of the look I was going for. Slightly less natural. Okay, now I'm drying them to where they're still a little bit damp, but not too bad. Just slightly damp because I want them to have a little bit of moisture in them for the next step. Basically what I'm doing is drying them enough so that they won't get the ink on my fingers anymore. And also be careful so that you don't melt them. This fabric will melt and it will crinkle up, and you don't want to do that either. It doesn't melt quite as easily as, like, say, satin, but it will melt. Okay. So now, like I said, they're not completely dry. I don't want them to be completely dry. I just want them to have enough to where they're not gonna color my hand. Okay, so then all I did is I put a little dollop of hot glue and I just stuck it right to the middle, and I'm also alternating so that my petals are not all ending up in the same spot. See if you can see what I mean there. They're not. I'm making sure that the openings are different on each layer. Okay, just like that. Super simple. Okay, and it's getting a little hot for me to hold, so I'm just going to press it down like that. And then I'm going to put, I have 3 more. You don't have to do all 3 of them. The more you put in the middle, the more poofy your flower will be in the end. But it really, it doesn't matter too much. I mean, you want some poof, but you can kind of play with it and see what's a good amount for you. Then after I stuck them all down, I just took something with a tip and just kind of pressed down in there because it, like I said, it was hot, so I couldn't do it. Okay, next step, what you want to do now is take this, and we're going to start, it's still getting me a little bit, but that's okay. You're just, I didn't quite dry them long enough, but that's alright. What you want to do now is you're going to crinkle each layer up individually, okay? Crinkle them all up, roll them into like a nice tight little ball right in the center. Bring all the layers up and crinkle them up like that. See how I'm doing that? And you want each layer to be separate because then it will help the petals flow a little bit more. If you do them together, they won't, they'll kind of crinkle together in a uniform pattern, and you don't want that. You want them to crinkle individually, okay? So you just want to keep on crinkling them up. Like so. And then on your last layer, flip it over. All I did is flip it over like that. Take a binder like this, and we're going to put it around our flower like so, and then I'm just gonna squish it into a ball, and I'm gonna set that aside for now. On my ones that I have here, on this one I let it sit overnight. Okay, Billy, get out of there. And on this one, I just let it sit for a little bit, but this one, I made sure that the petals were more dry. Look at my fingers, they're purple now. Oh well. Okay, so then we go on to the next part, which is putting together the headband. This is elastic lace that I got. It looked like this, and I dyed it in much the same way that you saw me dye the petals, okay? What you want to do is cut it to the size of your headband so that it fits your head comfortably. Billy! No. Sorry about that. Fit it to your head comfortably. And then what you're going to do is overlap them and glue them down, and then you're going to put a piece of felt on there. I just put a piece of felt, a square piece of felt, to the same exact size as the width of my lace, okay? If you don't want to use, or you don't have elastic lace, or you don't have a way to get some, you could also use white elastic, or at Joann's I recently found this, which is like headband elastic. I mean, it's the same stuff that headbands are made out of, but it's by the yard. You can buy it by the yard, and it's got the nice soft background or back to keep them in place, and then it's shiny on the front, and that would work really well to make a headband as well. Okay. Anyway, so after you do that, then you've got it like that. Okay. Then all you have to do is take your flower, put a bunch of adhesive here, and stick your flower on it, and boom, you have a flower. Okay. For these flowers, I made them barrettes, and because what you can do then is you can make them interchangeable. You can just stick the barrette on the headband, and then you can change it up. Say you want a pink one, you can put a pink flower on there. So then you only need to make one headband, and you can change out your flowers. But now say you want to make your headband to just stay a headband. All you have to do then, once your flower, I'm just going to go ahead and heat this a little bit more. I really wanted to stay sort of shaped like this, wrinkly. Okay. All I'm going to do is take this off, and I'm just going to kind of let it fall open and kind of push it open a little bit, help it open up. And there we have our very pretty flower. Okay. So then what you would do is, if you want to stick this on, all we do is put our adhesive on there and stick it on the back, and then you have a headband. And if you want barrettes, you do the same thing with barrettes. So there you have it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is annamarie29@gmail.com. And stop back tomorrow for another video or another project. Have a good day.